It started with a drawer that wouldn't close. Margaret, 73, tugged harder, until a tangle of forgotten creams and unopened gadgets spilled out. She stared, stunned. How had so many regrets ended up on her shelves? In this journey, she reveals 7 things she deeply regrets buying after 60, and the freedom she found letting go. Each one is a quiet lesson she wishes she'd known years ago. Ready to open that first drawer with her? Let's begin. 1. The gourmet gadgets she used once, but paid for twice. It all started with the pasta machine. Margaret remembers the day it arrived, shiny, promising, and heavier than she expected. It came with a little recipe book full of floury dreams. She used it once. The cleanup took an hour. After that, back in the box where it lived beside a yogurt maker, an electric carving knife, and a novelty waffle iron shaped like autumn leaves. The truth? She wasn't buying tools. She was buying moments. Quiet hopes of Saturday dinners with friends, of passing down traditions to grandchildren who lived 3 states away. But the tools didn't bring the people. And worse, the clutter reminded her of what hadn't happened. As she opened each box years later, some unopened, others dusty, she whispered, "I was trying to cook a life that never came." That realization wasn't bitter. It was freeing. She wasn't wrong to dream. She just didn't need the gear to hold on to it. What to do instead? Keep 1 or 2 kitchen tools that actually spark joy when you use them. Donate or gift the rest to someone just starting out. You'll be amazed how light your drawers feel afterward. And if you still want waffles, treat yourself to brunch out. No cleanup required. Why it matters emotionally? Because many of us shop for the version of ourselves we hope to be, and it's okay to outgrow her. Letting go of the gear isn't giving up, it's making room for who you are now. And that woman deserves clear counters and easier mornings. 2. The clothes that never fit her life.
There was a velvet jacket, deep teal.
It shimmered under store lighting and made Margaret feel like she might be invited somewhere mysterious and grand. She wasn't. The jacket stayed in the closet. It shared space with 3 statement scarves, a pair of metallic heels, and a sequined top with the tag still on. Fashion, for Margaret, had always been a quiet joy, but after 60, something shifted. The clothes she bought didn't match the life she had. They matched the life she thought she should be living. Dinners, parties, gallery openings, they all lived in the fabric, not in her calendar. One afternoon, she tried the jacket on again, this time in front of the mirror, not the dream. It didn't feel right. Not because of size or style, but because she no longer needed to be anyone else. She folded it gently and packed it for donation. What to do instead? Choose clothes that love you back, that stretch when you do, that let you sit, breathe, and live your real life. It's not about shrinking your wardrobe, it's about making every piece feel like an invitation to enjoy the day. Why it matters emotionally? Because our closets are quiet storytellers, and when they're filled with items from a life we no longer live, they whisper disappointment. When we clear them with honesty and kindness, we hear something else: self-respect. 3. The hopeful decor for holidays long gone. One late January, Margaret stood in her garage, staring at a plastic bin labeled Spring Joy. Inside, ceramic chicks, pastel bunting, and faux grass she had no memory of using. It joined 3 more bins: Autumn Blessings, Winter Sparkle, and Love Month. For a woman who lived alone and didn't decorate last year, the weight of those bins was more than physical. Years ago, the decorations had meant something. Her boys were little, the house was loud, Easter meant giggles, and Halloween brought paper bats on every lamp. But seasons change, and sometimes, the holidays do too. The moment came when she lifted the gratitude pumpkin and thought, "I'm not ungrateful, but I don't need this to prove it." She cried a little as she packed the bins for donation, not from sadness, but from something deeper: permission to honor the memories without keeping the props. What to do instead? Keep 1 small box, one that fits under the bed. Fill it only with items that still make you smile. The rest, Let them bring joy to someone new. You can still celebrate the season, but maybe with a cup of tea and a lit candle, instead of 15 ceramic turkeys. Why it matters emotionally. Because many of us hold on to decorations like memory anchors, but memories don't live in glitter. They live in the stories we tell, the warmth we keep, and the quiet peace of knowing we're allowed to change traditions. Each of these things, gadgets, clothes, decor, seemed so small when Margaret first brought them home, but they added up, not just in space, but in unspoken weight. And when she began letting go, she didn't feel less, she felt more clear, more calm, more herself. Now let me ask you, have you ever looked around your home and realized it doesn't quite reflect who you are anymore? I'd love to hear what item you've outgrown, or what memory helped you let it go. Share in the comments below. 4. The self-care stockpile that became a guilt drawer. Margaret once believed her bathroom drawer could heal her. Creams for the neck, serums for the eyes, oils for the elbows, masks for the soul. Every bottle promised something. A lift, a glow, a sense of youth returned. And each time she dropped one into her cart, it felt like self-love. But over time, the drawer turned into something else. Not a sanctuary, but a reminder. Some bottles were barely used, others never opened. And behind them, quietly, was the guilt. Why didn't I keep up with this one? I should have finished that. Maybe next week. One evening, she pulled out the drawer and dumped everything on the bed. It looked like a boutique exploded. But instead of shame, something unexpected happened. She laughed. A deep, belly laugh that came from recognizing the absurdity of it all. What was I doing? She whispered, trying to moisturize my way out of time. What to do instead? Keep only the products you actually use, not the ones you meant to try, or felt guilty not finishing. Give yourself a daily routine, with 2 or 3 steps max. Make it feel like a hug, not a chore. Why it matters emotionally. Because caring for yourself should never feel like an obligation. When self-care turns into shame care, it's time to reset. Letting go of the extras isn't neglect, it's kindness. You're not a project to fix, you're a woman to care for. 5. The subscription traps that drained more than money. Margaret didn't even realize she was subscribed to a Healthy Brain monthly box until she saw the charge on her bank statement. It was her 3rd month receiving puzzles, protein bars, and a bottle of brain-boosting vitamins she hadn't opened. It didn't stop there. There was the audiobook club, the yoga streaming service, the magazine that still arrived wrapped in plastic. None of these were wrong. In fact, she'd signed up during a time she truly wanted to re-engage with herself. But now, they just quietly drained her bank account and her confidence. Canceling wasn't easy at first. It felt like quitting, but as she made the calls and clicked the links, something shifted. Margaret realized she wasn't giving up on herself. She was giving back to herself. Space, breathing room, the gift of only what she really needed. What to do instead? Once every few months, take 10 minutes to scan your statements for quiet subscriptions. Set a calendar reminder. Ask yourself, have I used this in the last 30 days? If the answer's no, it's okay to let it go. Why it matters emotionally? Because many of us mistake auto-pay for progress. But true progress isn't in monthly charges, it's in daily choices. And every time you reclaim your time or money, you reclaim a little more of you. 6. The holiday decor that quietly became a burden. There was a time Margaret's home lit up like a storybook in December. Lights on the banisters, wreaths in every room, 6 themed napkin sets. She loved it. She truly did. But after 60, something started to shift. The bins got heavier, the ladder felt taller, and the joy. It got harder to find under all that bubble wrap. One winter, after dragging out 5 dusty bins and decorating only half the house, she sat down and cried. Not because she was overwhelmed, but because she didn't know how to let go. Those decorations held memories. Her boys laughing, her late husband singing off-key while putting up the tree. Could she really just pack that away? The answer came quietly. She didn't need to keep it all. She needed to keep what still brought light. So she chose 3 things. the ceramic reindeer, the snow globe from their first trip to Vermont, and the worn felt star with Mom's tree stitched on it. The rest, she gave to her niece's family, who were just starting their own holiday traditions. What to do instead? Pick a few holiday items that still bring you a smile, and display them proudly. The rest can be passed on with love. You're not letting go of the memory, you're letting go of the weight. Why it matters emotionally? Because the holidays aren't about quantity, they're about connection, and sometimes, clearing space makes it easier to feel the presence of those we love, even if they're no longer at the table. Margaret's journey through her drawers, subscriptions, and seasons isn't just about decluttering, it's about something much more tender, giving herself permission to evolve, to say, I needed this once, I don't need it now, and that's not loss, that's growth. So now, I'd love to hear from you. Is there a drawer, a charge, or a tradition you're holding on to, even if it no longer brings joy? What might it feel like to release it? Just a little. Let's talk about it in the comments. 7. The auto-build hope that kept collecting dust. It was a quiet Tuesday when Margaret opened her hallway closet to get batteries, and out slid a small, unopened box with her name on it. She blinked. Oh, right, the Artsy U Craft subscription. She'd signed up months ago, dreaming of hand-stamped cards, watercolor scenes, maybe even learning to knit. But that box, it was the fourth one still unopened. Nestled behind it were others just like it. Pretty packaging, untouched instructions, tools she never used. The original idea had been beautiful. Reclaim creativity, try new things. But here's the part no one talks about. Sometimes signing up feels easier than following through, especially when energy fluctuates, or your hands don't work like they used to, or your days fill up with real life. So when she sat down that afternoon, box in her lap, she wasn't angry, just thoughtful. She carefully cut the tape, peeked inside, then closed it again, not in shame, but in peace. Margaret realized she didn't need a project right now. She needed permission not to have one. What to do instead? Before signing up for any recurring program, crafts, vitamins, magazines, ask yourself, is this something I realistically want to do, or just something I wish I wanted? If you already have unused ones, open just one and try it today. If it doesn't bring light, cancel the rest. Guilt-free. Why it matters emotionally. Because women often attach their worth to productivity, even in retirement. But creativity isn't about proving anything, it's about joy. If a subscription quietly weighs on you, you're allowed to release it. Your free time should feel free. 8. The pantry stockpile. That said just in case too often, Margaret always kept a well-stocked pantry. It was something her mother had done, something her grandmother did. Shelves of canned goods, dry beans, extra flour, rice in bulk, a sense of security in every stack. But lately, those shelves felt more overwhelming than comforting. She noticed cans expired, packages she didn't even remember buying. There were 5 bottles of soy sauce, 4 boxes of crackers, stale now. It came to her while trying to squeeze a new box of cereal onto the top shelf. Why was she still shopping like she had 5 people to feed? Her freezer told the same story, stacked with leftovers, frozen veggies, soup she hadn't touched in months. That night she made a list, not of what she needed, but of what she already had. She spent a week using up her pantry stock, organizing what remained, and for the first time in years, she could actually see the back wall. It felt like breathing again. What to do instead? Inventory your pantry and freezer once every season. Set a limit on how many of each staple you really need. Keep a use-it-up week every few months, where you cook from what's already on hand. Donate anything unexpired you know you won't eat. Why it matters emotionally. Because many of us, especially women who once ran households, tie preparedness to safety. But when stockpiling turns into silent clutter, it creates stress instead of security. Simplifying doesn't mean you're not ready. It means you trust yourself to adapt. And that's real confidence. 9. The pretty furniture that never felt like home. It looked perfect in the catalog. A tufted accent chair with brass legs, in a delicate shade of cream. Margaret pictured it by the window with a cozy throw, maybe a good book resting on the arm. But when it arrived, something felt off. It was stiff, awkwardly tall, and despite its beauty, she never sat in it, not once. For 2 years it stood untouched, first in the corner of the living room, then eventually tucked behind the door in the guest room. She'd bought it hoping it would change the room, make it feel more elegant, but all it did was take up space and collect dust. One day while vacuuming, her hip knocked into it and left a bruise. That night she opened her tablet, took a photo, and listed it online. It sold in 2 days. In its place now, a small reading nook with a soft chair that hugs her back, a standing lamp, and her knitting basket within arm's reach. What to do instead? When choosing furniture, sit in it first, literally and emotionally. Ask, will I use this? Or am I just styling a photo in my head? Let go of anything that looks beautiful but makes you uncomfortable. Your home should feel like a hug, not a showroom. Why it matters emotionally? Because for many of us, especially after 60, comfort becomes sacred. We've spent decades making others feel at home. Now it's our turn. Every corner should reflect how we live, not just how we want to be seen. Margaret's story isn't just about things, it's about choices. The quiet, powerful decision to say, I don't need this anymore. And each time she does, her home grows lighter. So does her heart. Tell me this, my friend. Is there something in your home, big or small, that's never quite felt like you? Maybe it's time to make space for something better. What would you let go of today? Let me know in the comments. 10. The backup appliances that never got plugged in. There was a second toaster. Margaret bought it during a holiday sale, just in case the old one gave out. A backup iron too, though she hadn't used the first one in years. And then there was the mini rice cooker. Someone convinced her was a necessity for portion control. All still in their boxes, still new, still untouched. It's easy to fall into this habit, buying for emergencies that never come. Especially after 60, when we start thinking more about independence and self-reliance. But Margaret realized something, one quiet Saturday morning, while rearranging her pantry, to make space for a third slow cooker. I don't need backups. I need breathing room. She kept the toaster she actually used, donated the rest, and something funny happened. Her cabinets felt bigger, but so did her confidence. What to do instead? If you haven't used a backup item in over a year, it might not be serving you. It might be silently stressing you. Keep one of each essential. Let go of the duplicates. If something breaks, chances are you can borrow, repair, or replace it in time. Why it matters emotionally. Because as women, we're conditioned to prepare for everything. But there's freedom in trusting the present. A clutter-free cabinet doesn't just look neater. It reminds you that you're equipped for life as it is, not life as it might break. 11. The fitness equipment that became silent accusers. The yoga mat rolled up under the bed. The hand weights tucked in the closet. That resistance band she could never quite figure out. Margaret once believed buying fitness gear would automatically make her healthier. She'd pictured daily stretches, maybe a light sweat in the living room. But reality, every time she saw that gear she felt behind, like she was letting herself down. The guilt didn't motivate her. It made her avoid it altogether. Then one day, she gave herself permission to ask a different question. What kind of movement actually makes me feel good? Her answer surprised her. Walking while listening to music, slow dancing while cooking, and stretching her arms out on the porch in the morning sun. So she donated the gear, and instead she bought a comfy pair of walking shoes and a portable radio. What to do instead? Forget the trendy equipment, think about what feels good to your body now. If something makes you dread movement, it doesn't belong in your house. You don't need gear to stay active, you need joy. Why it matters emotionally. Because our bodies change, and that's not failure. It's life. You deserve movement that fits you, and your home should reflect support, not silent judgment. Exercise doesn't start with weights. It starts with kindness. 12. The cookbooks that made her feel inadequate. They lined an entire shelf. Hardcovers with perfect covers and exotic ingredients Margaret never heard of. She used to flip through them and think, one day I'll make that lavender duck with balsamic fig drizzle. Spoiler, she never did. Instead, she made chili, soup, tuna melts, and she was good at it. But those cookbooks, they weren't about recipes, they were about who she thought she should be. A more adventurous host, a more elegant dinner party planner. And as the years went by, that shelf started whispering, "Why haven't you done more?" Until one afternoon, she boxed them all up. Except one, her handwritten notebook of family recipes, that she placed front and center. What to do instead? Keep the recipes you love and actually make. Write them down in a single place. Gift or donate the rest. Cooking isn't performance, it's nourishment. Why it matters emotionally. Because we often measure ourselves against imagined standards. But your kitchen isn't a test. It's a memory maker, and every meal you make with love is already gourmet. Margaret's journey is proof that clearing space doesn't mean erasing identity, it means reclaiming it. With every unused appliance, unused weight, and untouched recipe book she let go of, she made more room to live. Now I'd love to ask you, is there something you keep just in case, or because you think you should? What might change if you let it go? Let's reflect together in the comments. 13. The memory gifts she bought for others but never gave. Margaret used to collect little trinkets and gifts whenever something reminded her of someone she loved. A scarf she thought her sister might like, a garden journal for her daughter-in-law, a music box meant for her best friend from high school, the one she hadn't spoken to in years. They piled up in a woven basket in her hallway closet, wrapped, labeled, but never delivered. Not because she didn't care, but because the moment passed, life got busy. She second-guessed herself. Was it too small? Too random? Too late? Years passed, and the basket became a collection of what-ifs. One day, while dusting, she opened the lid and stared at each item. Some of the recipients had moved, some had changed. Some were no longer here, and still, the gifts waited. Instead of feeling guilt, Margaret made tea, took the basket to the living room, and began writing letters. One by one, she matched each gift with a note and mailed them anyway. Not for a birthday, not for a holiday, just because. And some, she kept for herself. As reminders of love that never left, even if the timing did. What to do instead. If you have a gift you never gave, don't wait for a reason. Today is a reason. And if the moment truly passed, give the item to someone who needs it now, or keep it as a tribute to what you felt. Why it matters emotionally. Because behind every forgotten gift is a piece of your heart. Releasing them, or passing them on, honors the kindness in you without clinging to regret. Sentiment doesn't expire, it just asks to be acknowledged. 14. The decorative extras that demanded attention, not peace. At one point, every surface in Margaret's home had something on it. A vase, a tray, a figurine, a picture frame, a small bowl that collected paper clips and old receipts. It all started as charm, a warm, lived-in look. But somewhere along the way, her home started talking back. Too much to dust, too many pieces to move every time she cleaned. Too many corners that didn't breathe. It came to a head when she spent 10 minutes trying to clean her hallway shelf, only to knock over a ceramic dove she didn't even remember buying. It shattered, and in a strange, quiet moment, she didn't feel loss, she felt relief. That evening, Margaret cleared her coffee table completely. The next morning, the bare surface greeted her like sunlight. I didn't realize how much noise I'd added, she said. My home wasn't messy, it was overstimulated. What to do instead? Pick just one or two meaningful objects per surface. Give them space to breathe. Rotate seasonally if you want, or just keep the ones that truly feel like you. Why it matters emotionally. Because beauty doesn't need to overwhelm. A clear space creates a clear mind, and after 60, peace isn't a luxury, it's a daily necessity. Your home should exhale with you, not crowd your joy. 15. The sentimental clutter that didn't match her present life. Margaret had an entire box labeled keepsakes, but when she opened it after a decade, she barely recognized half of what was inside. Old pins from conferences, broken jewelry she'd meant to fix, dried flowers in tissue paper, a handful of cards signed by people she couldn't quite recall. For years she told herself it was sacred, but as she sifted through, she realized something: not everything sentimental is sacred. Some things are just saved. The box wasn't filled with meaning anymore. It was filled with questions. Why did I keep this? Who even gave me this? So she created a new ritual. She lit a candle, played her favorite soft jazz, and began sorting. One pile for keeps, one for donation, one for goodbye, and for anything she wasn't sure about. She took a photo, a digital memory that didn't take up physical space. She kept the letter her husband wrote her the day after their anniversary. She let go of the event wristbands and souvenir magnets, and as she closed the now half-empty box, she whispered, "I'm not erasing my past. I'm honoring my present." What to do instead? Create space to revisit old keepsakes with intention. Keep what makes you feel. Let go of what makes you pause in confusion. And don't be afraid to preserve memories digitally. It still counts. Why it matters emotionally. Because we evolve, and it's okay to say, "This mattered then, but not now." Your memories deserve clarity, and so do you. Margaret's journey ends not with emptiness, but with room to move, room to rest, room to breathe in the present without being weighed down by the past. Every item she let go of brought her closer to herself. So friend, tell me this. What's one thing in your home you've held on to, but might be ready to release? Not out of loss, but out of love for your present life. Let's reflect together in the comments. So who knew freedom could come from ditching a backup toaster and a yoga mat you never unrolled? Life after 60 isn't about holding on tighter, it's about living lighter. If any of these hit home, drop your aha moment in the comments. Let's declutter and high-five each other on the way out.